Welcome to Push to Pass podcast with JP Moery, a discussion about business, racing, sports, and life. This podcast delivers insights on what makes businesses, teams, and people successful based on real-life business experiences. Following a career with America's largest associations, JP Moery founded the Moery Company, one of Washington, D.C.'s most successful consulting firms. The company was acquired successfully and enabled him to launch JP Moery Racing, a business development and sponsorship agency for auto racing teams. Here is JP.
Hello, welcome to this episode. I have one of my absolutely favorite business stories for you. I'm going to call it Dealing with 15 Things, and a fantastic announcement. Juncos Hollinger Racing, Indy cars coming to JP Moery Racing, and man, I'm excited about it. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But first, I want to tell you this business story. There was a high performer on our team. Nice, bright, customer-centric, very good executor of projects and things. Wonderful staff member. But occasionally, this person would act out. They would demonstrate frustration and show passive aggression, often to other team members of the staff, and that caused a problem for me, frankly. And it wasn't great for culture, and we really needed to address it. But I didn't know that I was going to be able to address it through a very simple management exercise I'm going to tell you about today. And goodness, I wish I could tell you where I read about this, but it's been decades ago, and I use it with all my teams. But I can tell you it is a powerful leadership tool. First, staff member writes down the 5 most important aspects of their job, what they're supposed to do, the top 5, only 5, and in order. Next, the manager, in this case me, I write down the 5 most important aspects of their job, in order, by importance. And then you and the staff member get together and review those most critical items. It's the single best opportunity to get clarity ever, and that's what we know staff members really want. You can look at each other's list, you can discuss it, but I can tell you it's absolutely clear coming out of that meeting what the expectations are. And I got to tell you, some people don't have a clue about what you want from them, even if you talk about it a great deal. Or they are purposely vague because they really don't want to do those critical items or want to be measured. And others, well, you'll see. I'll get back to the story. So this person writes down their 5. I'll write down my 5. We get back together. This is what she says. And she's almost breathless when she says this. She came back and said, I have 15 things and I can't put them in order because they all matter. And this was where the breakthrough happened. There are not 15 important things to me, to you, to anybody. And importantly, in this case, I was the boss and I said, there are not 15 things. 5 things really matter. And actually, if I think about it, it's probably only about 3. And if you crush these areas, you will be great for this organization and you will help us meet our potential as a group. So we talked them through. We identified the 5. We agreed to them. We put them in order from 1st to 5th. And that list became our operating document, if you will. And frankly, it's what I evaluated her on those 5 things. Let me tell you what happened. The tension disappeared. The passive aggressiveness was eliminated. Her acting out with colleagues and getting frustrated and feeling overwhelmed was basically removed from our operation. And you know what? It was not only great for her, it was great for everybody. And by the way, I did this exercise with everybody on the team. It was fantastic. We had alignment on priorities, and the person wasn't overwhelmed, and her behavior was better. She became a player on our team. So go through this exercise, and if you're a solopreneur, always address this with yourself, because the most important items you must do because they can't be given to somebody else. You can't afford to avoid them because you aren't scaled up and no one else will execute on the items that truly matter to meet the vision of your business, which is a great transition to the vision that I want to talk about today. As most of you know, the Moery Company was acquired last year. I can still work with them, still do some. And in some narrow scope, I can still work with some associations. But my intent was to begin a new endeavor and grow it, selling sponsorships and collaborating with race teams because I love auto racing. And I wanted to test, can I apply the skills and the processes that I obtained through the Moery company and use it with motorsports? Initial indications are it works fantastically. This week, Juncos Hollinger Racing of the NTT IndyCar Series, they drive in the Indy 500 and 16 other races, became a client. And I'm really close to them. We're talking every day. And I'm frankly working on all of the corporate development with that operation. That means branding on the car for broadcasts that reach millions of people over the season. Hospitality for clients, for you to host them at these unbelievable racetracks and venues, including the iconic Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Communication plans on social. Our driver, Callum Ilott, has nearly 80,000 Twitter followers. Wouldn't it be great for him to promote your brand? It is a fantastic platform. So, over the next few weeks on the Push to Pass podcast, I'm going to start to have drivers and teams to talk about the business of motorsport and their side of the business and what they find in terms of competition and supporting corporate clients and how it works to build your interest and awareness. And frankly, I think it's quite fascinating. So I can't wait to bring the drivers and teams to you to get their story and to hear about their business and how they grow it. And through that, I think we'll learn about our own business as well. It's going to be great to share. I can't wait to chat with you next week on the Push to Pass podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Push to Pass podcast with JP Moery, a discussion about business, racing, sports, and life. If you would like to sponsor Push to Pass, send an email to jp@jpmoery.com. Follow JP on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. His website is jpmoery.com. Until next time, push yourself to pass the competition. Thanks for listening.